Hello, and welcome to the Threefold Life podcast. I'm George Bakaloff, your host, and I'm thrilled that you would take time to consider this program. In the last 25 years or so, there's been a whole lot of talk about doing business as missions and faith in the workplace and the marketplace in Christianity. All these represent efforts in an attempt on behalf of well-intended Christians from all spectrums of Christianity to basically get the gospel out of the church box and make it relevant again to people in all the different stratas of society, from the microloan industry in Latin America and India and other places to multinational corporations who are now setting up shop around the globe. There are believers all over this world that are figuring out ways to bring the gospel back to the workplace, back to the marketplace, and make it relevant to ordinary people, professionals, and business owners. Recently, I sat down with Paul Larsen, who has been doing just that. He's been traveling the globe. He's gone to different countries as an economic advisor, and also with someone who has a pretty good handle on theology. He has been bringing sound economic solutions to different groups in Eastern Europe as well as in Africa. So I hope you enjoyed this snippet. You're watching now the summarized version of this video. To get access to the full version, you will need to join our Patreon group on patreon.com/threefoldlife, or just go to our website, threefold.life, click on the Patreon button, and we'll take you straight to the Patreon page where you can sign up, become a Patreon supporter for our work, and gain full access to the full interview.
I've been married 34 years. I got 5 children from 21 to 31. My undergrad work was in the areas of business economics and theology, actually. I was involved in the investment markets, the capital markets, for about 25 years, and also got involved in business development, really business solutions for poverty. I was actually a portfolio manager. I managed portfolios of investments and real estate for organizations, and a lot of them were faith-based organizations. They wanted to make sure that they weren't profiting from things that were harmful. But that journey also brought me a little deeper into that area, and I started exploring how capital could be used to actually bring flourishing and not simply make some money that people could donate. That led me to start a company with a friend of mine that was initially involved in the former Soviet bloc, Eastern Ukraine, where we came into this land that was incredibly blessed with great farmland, but had gone to seed. All the infrastructure was cannibalized because of the collapse of the Soviet Union and 90% unemployment. And we started some farms there and put these people to work and rebuilt infrastructure in these villages. And it was just a wonderful experience. And our investors had good returns, and we saw churches built. But then we were challenged. By an organization to see if we could do something similar in Africa. So we found ourselves in Mozambique in about 2010. And that led to the development of some big farms, but also then I started working with the poorest of the poor, subsistence farmers, and helping them move into middle class. So it's been kind of an interesting journey, because I started out helping rich people get richer, and then I started working with helping poor people get richer, and it's been very rewarding. So that's why I was there, but we weren't there to give things away. We were there developing businesses, we were exporting, and contextualizing business systems that would truly allow people to produce and create more than they consumed. And I saw that as such important kingdom work that spread, and that's why I was going back and forth to Africa. Well, the 4 conditions, or mindsets, as I call them, because they weren't necessarily laws, but they did get legislated. They weren't necessarily about physics. It wasn't about natural laws. It was about mindsets and mentality and philosophy. And the top one is actually private property. And this is a big challenge in the developing world. As a matter of fact, the estimate is there's over $40 trillion worth of dead equity, capital that can't be accessed because nobody knows who owns what. It's a huge issue. But it's more than land. It's ideas. And I showed them that the ownership of ideas and what was triggered by things like patent offices was huge. The second mindset was really a rational worldview. Now, before you get concerned, I'm not talking about a rational or scientific worldview that competes with religion or our faith. I'm talking about a rational worldview that is up against superstition. This is a huge and deadly issue, especially in Africa, and the syncretism that is evident everywhere. The third mindset was the idea of contracts, the very idea of making and keeping and enforcing promises, and just showing how that has an incredible effect of creating wealth, because everybody's better at something and not better at everything. And so when you can make and keep agreements, it just does incredible work in creating value. The fourth category has to do with a robust and dependable transportation and communication infrastructure. You have to be able to move stuff and ideas in a hurry. And that's incredibly important. And you've got to be able to own those ideas. And so it all kind of winds together. That's a really important question. We do have work to do here in the West. We hear that millennials in general tend to gravitate towards socialistic ideals. Part of that is they don't feel like they really are invested in one respect. But another part of it is what they see as capitalism isn't classical capitalism. It's not your classical enlightened, self-interested capitalism. It's a casino capitalism. And so what they're rebelling against is not capitalism. And what they're rebelling against is a crony capitalism, a deck is stacked capitalism, a casino capitalism. So one thing we could do is continue to pull up historical examples and to test these models and remind them of history. So we want to look for statesmen who can grasp onto these timeless values and help figure out how to advance them. For us to embrace a more robust theology of redemptive history, number one, but also a much more robust theology of human flourishing that includes economic as well as spiritual and social flourishing.
Thank you for being with us for this program. To learn more about Threefold Christian Alliance and our work internationally, please visit our website at threefold.life. Threefold.life. Here you can learn how to sponsor a Christian child in the Philippines for $40 a month to go to school and escape systemic poverty. You can also connect with us on Patreon through our website or directly on Patreon at patreon.com/threefoldlife. Through Patreon, you can gain access to other interviews, resources, and research from subject matter experts and expand your arsenal of understanding of classical truth to bring disruptive change to our world. Thank you, and God bless.